You ever feel like success is just a more polite word for captivity? Because that's what it looks like now. A 30-year mortgage on your soul, sold by LinkedIn influencers and sponsored by antidepressants. Boomers called it making something of yourself. Gen Z calls it surviving late-stage capitalism without a breakdown. We were told to dream big, but the dreams came with a price tag. $80,000 in student loans. A job you hate, and rent that eats your future alive. We didn't get lazy, we got real. We saw the trade-off and said, no thanks. I'd rather breathe. While boomers flex CEO titles like gold chains, we're out here trying to figure out how to stay sane in a collapsing economy. They brag about 80-hour weeks. We're just trying to avoid 80-year burnout. This video isn't a pity party. It's a declaration. A quiet rebellion turned global movement. Gen Z isn't rejecting adulthood. We're rewriting the terms. So let them keep their titles, their corner offices, their burnout badges. We're building something else. A life we don't need to escape from. What's the point of climbing a ladder if the top is on fire? That's what nobody wants to say out loud. But Gen Z already knows. Success used to mean stability. Now it means trading your body, your mental health, and your 20s for a job that pays just enough to keep you from quitting. This isn't a crisis of work ethic. It's a crisis of meaning. We watched our parents grind for pensions that got gutted. We saw them come home angry, anxious, addicted to caffeine and achievement. They told us to follow the same path, just with more degrees and fewer vacations. But here's the truth. Gen Z isn't giving up. We're refusing a definition of success that looks more like a prison sentence with dental. We don't want to climb the ladder if the only reward is more responsibility, more burnout, and a slightly better email signature. You know what sounds better than a job title? Breathing. Real sleep. Weekends that don't feel like recovery wards. Because success shouldn't cost your health or your personality or your soul. So yeah, maybe we're not applying to your fast-paced, high-impact startup that offers pizza Fridays and panic attacks. Maybe we're ghosting interviews because we know what comes next. Overwork, underpay, and HR gaslighting. This rebellion isn't loud. It's logical, and that scares them. Because if one generation stops chasing the carrot, the whole illusion crumbles. Boomers put their job titles on bumper stickers. Gen Z's just trying to afford therapy. It's wild. They used to introduce themselves like, I'm John, VP of Regional whatever. Now it's more like, hi, I'm Kayla, and I just want to get through the day without dissociating during a Zoom call. Boomers treated work like identity. Gen Z treats it like a hostage situation. Because the trade-off is too obvious now. You can keep your prestige if it means panic attacks are part of the benefits package. Let's be honest. What's more valuable? A six-figure title or a nervous system that still works? Gen Z isn't anti-ambition. We're just not impressed by LinkedIn lopping and 14-hour workdays. We've seen what chasing titles did to our parents, marriages crumbling, kids barely knowing their dads, ulcers served with coffee. So no, we're not sacrificing mental health for status. If that means living in a smaller apartment or saying no to promotions that come with zero boundaries, that's not failure. That's survival intelligence. We've learned that time, actual time, is the rarest currency. The one thing capitalism keeps trying to steal while calling it productivity. Boomers built their lives around the office. Gen Z is building a life outside of it, and for some reason, that pisses people off. Maybe because it reveals the truth they've been running from, that all those titles, all that hustle might have been a scam. Remember when people used to ask kids what they wanted to be when they grew up? Now the answer is alive, preferably indoors. Because here's the thing, it's hard to have career goals when your basic needs feel like premium subscriptions. Groceries cost more than car payments. Rent feels like you're leasing your own anxiety. And health insurance, that's a luxury item wrapped in paperwork and dread. Millennials got sold the hustle. Rise and grind, sleep when you're dead, build the dream. Gen Z, we're just trying to eat, stay sheltered. Breathe without calculating how much that deep breath costs in therapy hours. The job market wants us to chase purpose while we're drowning in survival. Employers post roles like marketing ninja for $16 an hour and expect a portfolio, 5 years experience, and our left kidney. And let's not even talk about unpaid internships. That's not opportunity. That's corporate feudalism. So yeah, maybe we're not obsessed with career growth, Maybe we're more focused on affording lunch. Because when the economy feels like a collapsing bridge and you're walking barefoot across it, ambition becomes a luxury. And sometimes the smartest move isn't climbing higher, it's not falling through the cracks. Work-life balance sounds cute until you realize it's just a corporate way of saying, we'll let you breathe if you hit your metrics. HR loves to whisper about balance while your calendar looks like a battlefield. Back-to-back meetings, weekend emails, and a lunch break that lasts as long as a TikTok. If this is balance, what does chaos look like? Let's be honest, Gen Z doesn't want balance, we want boundaries. Because the phrase work-life balance implies they're equals, but one of them pays your bills, controls your insurance, and demands your time. The other one is just your life. The part you're constantly putting on hold, rescheduling therapy, ignoring your body, that's why quiet quitting hit a nerve. Not because people were slacking off, but because they stopped pretending to love being exploited. They stopped bleeding for culture. They started saying, I'll do my job. But I won't set myself on fire for it. Gen Z isn't lazy. We're allergic to gaslighting, and if refusing to be chronically online for your boss makes us the villains, then call us the antiheroes of late capitalism. If you've made it this far and you're nodding, raging, or just feeling seen, you're not alone. There's a whole generation waking up to the scam and walking away from the cliff in slow, deliberate steps. This isn't just a trend, it's a quiet revolution. So hit subscribe, drop your story in the comments, and share this with someone who's still blaming themselves for burning out in a broken system. Every voice that speaks up chips away at the illusion. Let's keep chipping. Let's decode one of capitalism's favorite lies, career growth. You're told to stick with it. Be loyal, put in the time. But what do you actually get? A 2% raise if inflation doesn't eat it first, a new title that changes nothing. Maybe a plaque and a pizza party if you're lucky. Meanwhile, the guy who quit after 8 months, he's making 20% more somewhere else. Welcome to the era of job hopping, not out of greed, but survival. Because career growth used to mean climbing towards something. Now it means staying in the same place while everything around you burns. Loyalty is punished, initiative is exploited. And promotions are just more work with slightly better optics. Gen Z figured it out quick. We don't know companies our lives, especially when those same companies would ghost us after one bad quarter. So if we're not climbing, maybe it's because we realize the ladder leads nowhere. And jumping ship? That's not quitting, it's strategy. There was a time when moving back in with your parents meant you failed. Now, it might be the smartest financial decision you can make. Gen Z isn't clinging to childhood. We're escaping economic quicksand. Because let's be real, $2,000 rent for a shoebox apartment. $6 for gas? A job that barely pays enough for groceries? That's not adulthood, that's economic cosplay. The system broke, so the timelines broke with it. Boomers bought homes in their 20s. We're out here negotiating with landlords over window units and praying our avocado doesn't rot before payday. Moving back home isn't regression, it's resistance. It's saying, I'm not going to bankrupt myself just to keep up the illusion of independence. You're not lazy. You're making a tactical retreat, and in this economy, that path might start in your childhood bedroom. With dignity, not shame. Managers call it disengagement. Economists call it a crisis. But you know what Gen Z calls it? Waking the hell up. Soft quitting, that quiet refusal to go above and beyond for companies that treat you like a machine. It's not apathy, it's clarity. People aren't disengaged because they're weak. They're disengaged because they're done being lied to. You can't fix soul-deep disillusionment with free donuts and Employee of the Month certificates. Soft quitting isn't the problem, it's the antidote. The refusal to keep pretending that your life's worth is tied to how many tasks you complete before lunch. This isn't slacking, it's strategic disobedience. And the real threat? It's contagious. They said Gen Z was afraid of adulthood, that we just didn't want to grow up wrong. We just didn't want their version of it. We're not rejecting adulthood, we're redesigning it. No more selling 40 hours a week for stability that never comes. No more pretending job titles make us whole. The new adulthood is about sovereignty, it's side hustles and skill stacking. Therapy instead of toxic grind culture and learning shame. Redefining productivity as something that actually includes rest, We're not interested in being CEOs. We want to own our time, our energy, our damn mornings. It's not laziness. It's design. It's the quiet revolution of choosing autonomy over approval, clarity over compliance. So yeah, let the boomers keep their boardrooms and burnt-out legacy. We're building something else. A life where freedom isn't the reward. It's the baseline. They told us we were fragile, entitled, addicted to screens, afraid of hard work. But here's the truth. We just saw the trap before it snapped shut. We watched our parents grind themselves into dust and still get laid off. We saw friends with 2 degrees working retail. We lived through lockdowns, layoffs, recessions, and still had to pretend everything was normal. We're not lazy, we're lucid. In a system that rewards overwork, exploits loyalty, and gaslights burnout, checking out isn't failure. It's genius. We're not trying to win their game. We're changing the rules, opting out of fake prestige, designing adulthood around life, not labor. So let them keep their CEO titles, their outdated dreams, their corporate worship. We don't want their crowns. We want to breathe. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to support the channel. And a fellow Gen Z lazy bum,